All right, I've been waiting 7 days now to do this. Today we're firing up the Lone Star Grill's offset and we're going to smoke some home cured bacon. I've got two kinds actually. I've got belly bacon and back bacon. I've actually never done back bacon before, so sort of looking forward to this. So our bacon is cured and in the fridge, and we will take you now to that process that took place over the last 7 days, and then we'll get out here and we will get this smoked up. So we'll bring you back and we'll get going. Okay, so we're gonna mix together our cure, and I like to do a big batch. It'll keep forever, and then I can grab it whenever I need it. There's only 3 ingredients in this. This is, again, the most simple method I know for cured and smoked bacon. So, you know, I've done a lot of different bacons with a lot of different ingredients, but we're keeping it simple today. So I've got 2 cups of kosher salt, and that's 400 grams. And that weight in grams is kind of important. We'll get to that in a little bit though. I've got a cup or 200 grams of sugar, and I am going to end up mixing all of this in. I'm just going little by little. And I've got 6½ teaspoons or 60 grams of pink curing salt, or Prague powder number 1. As I and others always say, this is not like Himalayan salt or anything like that. This is a special curing salt that is dangerous in large quantities, as I understand it, but very safe when you measure it out and use what you're supposed to use. So we're gonna dump most of that in, and then we're gonna keep going with the rest of our ingredients. And there we go. So I really just wanted to put it in this plastic container to start with. This isn't going to mix very well, but I am going to throw the lid on it and mix it as well as I can. Whoa. Actually, it's doing a lot better than I thought. And then for permanent storage, I'm going to use this glass jar. I think it'll just keep a little better. The lid will be more secure, so I can mix it good whenever I get it out to use it. So, and this plastic container will make it easier to dump in. So, just gonna get it dumped in here. There we go. Simplest bacon cure that you can make as far as I'm concerned. Get that, continue to mix that around, and there we go. So our cure is done. We're going to get out our bacon now and go from there. So see you in a minute. So the most difficult thing about this is having the Prague powder, the pink curing salt. Also having a scale. A scale is important for measuring because of the pink curing salt. And then a little bit of math. So I happen to have a pork belly, skin off, which you'll see here shortly, that is a little over 7 pounds. And using the Google machines, I converted the weight in pounds to 3,320 grams. And we want to use our bacon cure as a 2.5% measurement of that total weight. So just took the 3,320, multiplied that by 0.025, and we have 83 grams. So I've tared the scale with my little dish here. It looks like on the video the 0 is blinking. I'm not sure why. It must be a video thing because it's not blinking on the scale for me, but it doesn't matter. And I'm gonna take our jar of cure that we made. I'm gonna mix it one more time, although I mixed it for several minutes off camera and I'm pretty good with it. And so we're gonna put 83 grams of our cure. $73. almost. I don't want to have to take any out, so I'm being careful. 84 grams, and we're going to call that good enough. All right, so we've got our cure that we need to use on our pork belly. Next thing we're going to do is get that pork belly out, and we'll bring you back. Okay, so here is our pork belly. Again, it is just over 7 pounds, 7.32 pounds. Got it from Sam's Club. I have hit or miss luck with pork bellies at Sam's Club. Not the quality, I've never had bad quality, but sometimes they have them, sometimes they don't. From what I understand, Costco is more regular, but Costco is a little further away for us. Whatever, I've got a 7-pound pork belly here. So I'm just going to take the plastic off, the cryovac, and I've got some paper towels here. And I'm just going to pat it dry. Turn it over and get that fat cap too. It's really not that moist, but still going to pat it dry a little bit. Whoa, sorry, I'm sure that was out of the camera. Here we go. This is actually a really nice pork belly. A lot of times the butchering leaves some, you know, bad cuts or gouges or whatever. This is actually pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with it, to be honest. All right, I'm going to move this out of the way and take a glove off. I have already got a vacuum seal bag. Now I happen to have a really wide, I think it's 16-inch wide, maybe 15-inch, I'm not sure, vacuum sealer. It works great. So I've got these really wide bags. Now you don't have to have this. This is the way I like to do it, but you can totally use a zip top bag. You know, 2.5 gallon one would work well. Depends on the size of your pork belly. But I like to use the vacuum sealer. So I know this is off the camera, I apologize, but I'm just going to get it into this vacuum sealer bag and we'll go from there. Always awkward trying to do this by yourself, but we'll get her. Okay, perfect. So hope that is back in the camera now. That's our pork belly in the vacuum seal bag, ready to go. So here's our cure that we've already measured out, and what I'm going to do is just get this cure on the pork belly using all of it. You can totally do this on a cutting board and then put it in the bag. I like to do it like this. I think it's a little cleaner, and this way I'm sure I use all of the cure and don't leave any on the cutting board. Doesn't have to be perfect. Everybody says get the whole thing covered, and you want to do that, but this is going to end up creating its own liquid. I'm going to turn it every couple of days. This is going to be fully cured. I've never had an issue. All right, now I'm going to turn this bag over and do the other side. Get the other half of my cure. Get it poured on there and then just spread it around. There we go. And that's going to be pretty good. So I'm going to move this over to the vacuum sealer now. I think I'm going to not deal with, let's put it in the camera. So we'll bring you right back. All right, let's get this thing sealed up. All right, gonna go through its sealing process here and we'll be good. All right, there we go. So this one happens to put a double seal on it, which I like. So pretty good vacuum there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like I said, you can just use a Ziploc bag for this. So if your vacuum sealer, I had a kind of a weird angle on mine, didn't necessarily pack it super tight, but it's perfect. So I'm gonna put this on a cookie sheet and put it in the fridge, and I'm gonna turn it every couple of days, and we're gonna leave it in there 7. So 7 days, turning every couple of days, and we will have a cured pork belly to make some great bacon with. So we'll see you in a week. So I decided to go ahead and do some back bacon also, otherwise known as Canadian bacon. I'm gonna use the same cure and the same 2.5% measurement. So I've already got that measured out here, my sugar, my Prague powder #1, and my salt. I've got a bag. I'm gonna do it the same way. So bag plenty big enough. We'll get that pork loin in there. So this is just a pork loin, not a tenderloin, but just a normal pork loin. Got my cure. I didn't do any trimming or anything, left the fat cap on. And much like the pork belly, the butchering was fine. There weren't really any areas to worry about. So just gonna get that cure on the one side and then do the bulk of the cure on the meat side as opposed to the fat cap side. So we'll get all that in there and get it spread around, rubbed in, and then vacuum sealed. And we're going to do this for essentially the same amount of time as the belly bacon. I'm actually thinking it might be 6 days. So I'll pull it out on a Friday and then cook it on a Saturday. So that's the way we're going to do it. So I'm going to get this sealed up and put in the fridge. I'll cut the video off here for now, and we'll probably take a look at these over the next couple of days and show you what they're doing in the fridge. Okay, it has been about 6.5 days. It's early evening right now, so this next step is going to take overnight. So this is a good time to do this. Our belly bacon and our back bacon have been curing in the refrigerator in these food saver bags, so vacuum sealed. I usually do this, or have done it in the past, with brown sugar. This time I did it with white sugar. And the difference there is you can't really see the liquid very well that the meat has lost. I don't know if you can see that or not, but all kinds of liquid in there. You can see the bubbles. When you use brown sugar, that's super obvious. But both of them have done that, and that's a good sign. So again, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a ton of liquid in the plastic there. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take each of these out of their bags. And I'm just going to put it in this tub for now. And what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this off camera, is I'm going to, you can see some of that liquid there now, just down in the bottom of the bag. I'm going to take these to the sink and I'm going to rinse them off really well, and I'll do that off camera, and then we'll come back and talk a little more about next steps. So I will see you in just a couple of minutes. All right, guys, we're back. We rinsed both our belly and our loin piece off really well, got that extra salt off. So these are going to go into the fridge on wire racks, just like this. Hopefully you can see that overnight. One thing you can do, and I'm pretty confident, I've done this a lot, and I feel pretty good about my brine, but you can check it to make sure it's not too salty. And all you have to do, I have to admit, on the pork belly, there's usually an end that isn't as nice. This is a beautiful pork belly here. But you can just cut off a little piece. I'm just going to cut off one here, kind of even it out a little bit. There we go. And you can just fry it up. Now it's not going to have that smoky bacon flavor because it obviously hasn't been on the smoker yet. But you can taste it, make sure it's not too salty. So I'm just going to make some little pieces of this, and I'm going to take a slice off of the loin as well and fry that up, and just make sure it's not too salty. If it is too salty, you can actually soak it in water for half hour, couple hours, and it will release some of that saltiness, and you definitely haven't ruined it. You can bring it back. So just something to keep in mind. And I would certainly recommend doing this if you haven't made a lot of bacon. Keep you from ruining a whole pork belly that way by it being too salty. So I'm just going to take an end off of the loin as well. Again, kind of even it out. Both of these pieces of meat were really pretty nice. A lot of times there's a jagged edge that it's nice to get rid of. In this case, I'm really just cutting a slice off of a really nice piece of meat. So we'll get this fried up. In the meantime, I'm going to put both of these pieces of meat in the fridge, let that pellicle develop, which will give it a nice surface for the smoke to adhere to. And then we'll fry these up and taste them real quick and tell you how we did. But I'm going to assume these are good and get these pieces of meat in the fridge. And if they're not, if they're too salty, we'll come back and we'll do something about it. See you in a few minutes. Well, I can tell you it smells pretty good. I've done this before. I usually do this and just test it out. And the pork belly is always so good. I could fry the whole thing up like this and it's just good. So we'll let this finish and we'll bring you back and we'll give it a try. All right, that's gonna about do it. We'll pull these pieces off and we'll give them a try. There we go. So let those last ones cool off, but here's our pork belly, or our pork loin, so the back bacon. That's really good. Not too salty at all. Not even close. Now, so we'll try a small piece of the belly. And that is still really hot, but not too salty at all. So that's great. We're gonna let these pieces of bacon, the belly and the back, sit in the fridge overnight, let them dry out, develop that pellicle, and they will go on the smoker tomorrow. So we will see you then. All right, so we're gonna get these pieces of meat ready to go on the smoker. I'm going to add a little bit of the barbecue rub to the top of each. I'm not going to totally coat them. This isn't a pork butt. These are already salty and seasoned. I really just want to add a little color and a little extra flavor. So we're going to take this rub and just sprinkle on the top. Not worried about the sides. Don't want to get the sides on this one on the belly just because that end piece would be ridiculous as far as seasoning, but we'll just get a little on each of the tops. I'm using hickory wood today. The Lone Star is heating up. I put my first couple of splits on. There we go. Now I want to tie this up. I actually probably should have done it before I cured it, but that's all right. We'll make it work. I just want it to kind of be more of a rounded shape than it is. So we're going to go about every inch, and that string is not long enough. Might be able to use it on the other end. We'll see. So I'll just slip it under and cinch it up. This one is barely long enough. I'll do about 3 wraps around. There we go. And then pull it tight. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to really round this as it's just the cure has made it much more stiff. But at least this will hold somewhat of a shape. So we're going to get the rest of this tied up, and then we'll be ready to get these on the smoker. So I'll bring you back in just a minute. All right, so we're going to get these put on the smoker. Really happy to be using the LSG. It's been a while, to be honest. It's just a matter of not having time and stuff like that to tend to the smoker. So I've been using the pellet grill. I've been using the Weber kettle a lot too. But we're going to go pretty low here. I'd like to keep this at 200, give or take 20 degrees, best I can. We're going to go ahead and probe these. We're going to take these up to 150 internal. They are cured. I could go lower than that, but 150, I just like to do it to that usually, if I'm hot smoking anyway. So we're going to go, now the grain runs, so we'll be slicing this long ways. I might cut them in half, or cut this one in half first just to make the slices easier, but because I'll be slicing this way, I'm going to put the probe in the center this way. That way we don't have a hole running through half or more of the slices. And for the Canadian bacon, I'm going to do it this way because obviously we'll slice the Canadian bacon on the end there. So there we go. Just in the center, I'm going to get this closed up. We're going to run a cool fire. So I will probably bring you back at least one time. I expect these are going to take, if I can keep the temperature where I want it, 4 to 5 hours maybe, something like that. So looking forward to getting this done, and we will bring you back. So we have leveled off right around 215 degrees. It's not really going up much. So I'm just going to hold it here, choke down the fire if it starts to warm up a little more than I want, but this is a perfect temperature as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to open the door right now. It's only been on maybe 20 minutes, but we'll bring you back maybe after the first hour, hour and a half, and we'll take a look at it. Okay, we've been on about 2.5 hours. Just haven't gotten around to opening it up yet and checking on it. But we're running a little bit hot right now anyway, so now's a good time. So let's take a look. Looking good. The color looks great. It's a little shady here, so I don't know how well you can see it. Looks like our... Okay, our belly, as you might expect, is running about 15 degrees warmer at 106. Our back bacon is at 91. So I'm going to get this closed down, but we're looking good. It looks like we'll pull the belly off first, but we'll bring you back. Hey, quick update. We have been on almost 3 hours right now. I was wrong. I got my wires crossed, literally. The belly bacon, or the back bacon, is the one that's a little higher in temperature by about 15 degrees. So just thought I'd update you on that. I did switch positions of the two pieces of meat, just swapped where the trays were, just to promote some even cooking. So it looks like we'll be taking the back bacon off first here in probably 35 degrees or so, and the belly bacon will come off after that. So we'll bring you back. Let's just take one moment and reflect on how stupid I am. I accidentally left the trays under these bacons. So we're going to rectify that, at least for the last hour, hour and a half of this cook. I had no intention of doing this. And I don't even know what made me think of it. I was just sitting in my chair, enjoying the weather, and thought of it. So let's get this taken care of. I don't know how I'm going to get this one out. I have to get a spatula or something. So I'm going to get this taken care of. I just wanted to make a spectacle of how stupid I am. So it'll be fine though. They'll still taste great. We'll bring you back. We're at 120 and 112. That's good. They're coming together a little bit in temperature. See you soon. All right, we're down to our last 16 degrees and 26 degrees, depending on which cut of meat. So I thought we'd do one last look before we eventually pull this off. We have been on now exactly 4 hours. Oh man, looking great. I hope you can see that. Color is great, fat rendering nicely. I can't wait to cut into these, which won't be today, unfortunately, but they're really looking nice. So thanks for joining, and stay tuned for the rest of this cook. Okay, just as one would expect, the belly bacon is done right as the neighbor's yard is getting mowed, but we're gonna get it off. And there we go. We'll get a close-up shot of this sometime, but it looks great. So we're just gonna let this cool right here and get the lid closed and let that belly bacon finish. So we will bring you back shortly. All right, it's been about an extra 45 minutes and we are pulling the belly bacon off now. So here we go. I'm excited about both of these. I think they are both pretty rock solid. Oh man, this one's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. All right, so I'm gonna reset the camera, and I might make this my thumbnail, but we'll get a good picture in here in just a second. So thanks for being here. I tell you what, we'll talk a little bit about next steps, and then I will leave you for now. And the next time you see this bacon, we'll be slicing it and trying it. So I'm going to let these cool. This one is the back bacon is cool enough. The belly bacon I'm going to let cool. We're going to get it in plastic bags, kind of expel most of the air, and we're going to get it back in the fridge overnight. You want to leave it and let that smoke settle in, and it'll be much easier to slice when it's cold. So we're going to leave it until tomorrow. So it's actually been a few days. Our bacon has been about 3. It's been wrapped up in the refrigerator. I just haven't gotten to it. I had to travel for work and other stuff. So let's break into this. I'm going to do the Canadian bacon first. Or back bacon, if you will. see how it turned out. I can tell you the smell is great. Oh man, looks really good. I tell you what, I'm going to fast forward through this, but when we come back, I'm going to grab a couple of things that I should have already gotten out, and we'll get going. Okay, so I've got a glove, little paper towels, and my coffee. So I think we're ready to go now. First thing I'm going to do is cut the butcher's twine off. I just did the butcher's twine for shape, and I really should have probably done it before I brined it, but even if I didn't do it at all, it's not a terribly big deal. These just tend to flatten out under their own weight, so. All right. And look at the underside of that. Okay, well, let's just cut off a small end piece. I'm just going to get into it a little bit before we show you much. The cure is great. So that pink color is from the cure. Almost looks like a ham. That's beautiful. I don't have I have a small commercial. It's not even a commercial, it's a home slicer, but I hate it. So I'm just going to be doing this with a knife and just try to get some reasonably thin slices. That's beautiful. And of course, these were cooked to above 145. It's not ground meat, so that is safe as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to take a bite of this. That is so good. It would really remind you of ham. All right, so that's our Canadian bacon. Beautiful. So I'm going to get this out of the way, and we'll come back and we will do our belly bacon. So we will bring you back in just a minute. All right, well, before we get our belly bacon out, I thought I'd show you what we have here. Just a whole big pile of Canadian bacon slices. And what I like to do when it gets down to where it's difficult to slice is just make chunks. So this can be thrown into a pot of baked beans, whatever you want to do. And I always like to have chunks. I do that with belly and back bacon. But again, if you look at that color, it's just beautiful. And the flavor is outstanding. So we're going to get our belly bacon out and we'll bring you back. Okay, so here's our belly bacon. Again, looks outstanding all over. So for the belly bacon, I'm actually going to cut this in half. My slices will be a little bit, be like half slices, but they'll just be too long anyway. And you want to cut it, in this case we're going to cut it long ways, but we're going to do it in half first because you want to cut it against the grain. You're actually going to cut it with the grain, so when you bite it, it's against the grain. I should clarify. So there we go. So actually, let's cut the thicker piece first. So I like to take some of these ends and do those bacon chunks like I did with the Canadian bacon, just to start with an even slice. Beautiful cure. That pink is from the cure. Gorgeous. Really happy with the way this turned out. And from here, we'll just do our slices like we did on the Canadian bacon. Beautiful slice of bacon there. I'm not going to try this. I certainly could eat this. It's fully cooked, but for belly bacon, you really want to render that fat and cook it like normal bacon. So we're just going to get this sliced up. And I'm going to try to keep these a little thinner, which is why you see my jakey slices. It's not super simple with a knife, and this knife is really sharp, but it's still not simple. That's a beautiful slice there. So that's what we're going to do with the rest of this, and we'll bring you back to close this out here in just a little bit.